Hello everyone, this is Hassan again, and this is our fourth lecture on Scratch game development. In this lecture we'll be learning basics of block programming. So the first thing, we need to open or create a new project. So click create, and we have our new project which is called Untitled 4, but instead of saying Untitled 4 today, let's say block coding, just giving it a name. So remember I told you that this section, scripts, is the section where you have all the necessary codes. So you can see the category: you have motion, you have looks, you have sound, pen, data, more blocks, operators, sensing, control, events. Okay, so these are the sections for various types of operations. Costumes, we already know what are costumes, right? And sounds, we know that we can add a sound. So let's start. So first thing, what we want to do is moving a sprite. So how can we move a sprite using the code? So remember, the game starts if you click this flag, right? So that means if I go under events, I see there is an option, is called when flag clicked. So I drag this and put it on the other side of the screen. So this is our main screen, and this is where we have all the code. So you drag a block there which says when flag clicked. This block is linked to this flag. So when I click this block is activated, but right now we only have when flag clicked. I'm not saying anything, right? So it's not going to work if I click this flag. So I want to move the sprite, so I go under motion. So motion, where you have all the movements like turning, point in direction, go to somewhere, go to mouse pointer, glide, change X, change Y, set X, bounce, set rotation style, left, right, X position, directions, a lot of options. So we'll be learning all this operations soon. So first thing, we want to use a move block. So this block, if I drag this block and put it here, it says when flag clicked, move 10 steps. 10 steps, you might think that's a lot, but remember we are using a very small portion of the screen, so it's not a lot. So instead of 10, I'd say 50 steps. Remember, by default you are going forward, so move 50 steps means your character will move forward. That means left to right. I can change it to from the keyboard I can change it to -50. Now this time it will move backward. So make sure you remember this. If I use 50, it will go from left to right. If I use negative, it will go from right to left. So initially let's keep the cat here, and now what the code is doing, it says when flag clicked, move 50 steps. Remember, this block is linked to this flag. So if I click this flag, my character, which is sprite 1, should move 50 steps. So I click flag and I see it moved 50 steps. Okay, if I use -50, it should go back to its original position, right? Because remember, now it's moving from right to left because it's negative. So if I click flag, it goes back. Okay, so let's say you want this cat to move to a particular position. So let's say from here, it should start from here and it should stop here, right? It to do that, I need to know the coordinates or the position. So if I keep my cat here, I see if I move it here, I can detect it from this. You see that the go to x -13 and 56, if I move it here, it changes, right? It tells me the position of this cat. Okay, so initially I want the cat to start in the middle, and I see it says go to x -42 and y 12. Okay, so I drag this block. I don't need this move -50, so I drag and put it back. So I need here. So that means when I click this flag, it should go where the position is -42 and y is 12. So I am starting from here, and where I want to stop, I want to stop the cat here, right? So what is this position? This position, it says go to x 168 and y is what? 10. So if I want to go to this position, what I need to say, that go here. Initially I'm starting from this position, and then I can move to this position where it says go to x 168 and y 10. So to do that, what I need to do, so remember, if I click flag, it should go back to where I have -42 and y is 12. So I click this and it goes back, right? So remember, I want to go where? I want to go 168 and 10. So I'm going to use this block, which is glide 1 second to this position. So this is another block. So remember, when you start, click this flag first, it should go here, go to -42 and y 10, and right after that it should glide 1 second, and it should arrive at this position where x is 168 and y is 10. So let's see what happens. Pretty cool, huh? So what happened is that it went to this position, and then it glided for 1 second and stopped at x 168 and 10. So let's try this again. So remember, it doesn't matter where it stops. When you start, it always goes back to this location where it says -42 and y 10, and it's going to be gliding for 1 second and reaches at 168 and 10. Okay, good. Now let's delete this cat. So I don't have any cat now, and remember, if you delete the sprite, all the code associated with this cat will be deleted too. So now we want to learn something like changing costumes. Remember, I told you last time that we can change between costumes so that it looks like it's alive. So for that, we are choosing a bat. So let's use this bat. So now I have this bat, and if I look at the costumes, I see there are 2 costumes. Now see this fact that if I click these 2 costumes very fast, one after another, it seems that the bat is flapping its wings, right? So I need to write a piece of code which will allow the bat to change the costume between these 2, 1 and 2, so that it looks like the bat is flapping its wings. Right, let's see how we can do this. So remember, most of the time you need this when flag clicked. Remember, this is linked with this flag. So what we want to do is switching costumes, right? So costumes means that is under looks, and if we look at here, it says switch costumes to bat 2b. What is 2b? Okay, let's go back to costumes again. there are names for each costume. See, the first one is called bad 2A. The second one, it says bad 2B, right? So if I go back to scripts again, it says switch costumes to bad B, and there is another option, switch next costume. I'll show you both options. So one is, remember, if I don't connect them together, these codes will not work. Okay, every piece of code needs a cap. This is called a cap. See, there is a cap kind of thing. So the blocks, you see, when space key pressed, it has a cap. So if you don't use this cap block, your code will not work. Okay, so every piece of code needs something to start with, and it needs something that has a cap. Alright. Okay, so when flag click, remember I didn't connect anything, so the code will not work. So what I want to switch costumes. So initially, by default, I have started with bad 2A, and I want to switch costume to bad 2B. So let's connect them together. So what should happen? It says when flag clicked, switch costume to bad B. So there will be a problem. Let me show you what is the problem. When I click flag, I see it switched, right? But it's not going back to the first costume, which is bad 2A, right? So I want to switch between these two costumes, right? So let's go back to works and drag this block again, and from here there you can see there is an option from where you can change it to bad 2A. So what I want to switch to costume A and B. Now what should happen? So initially I should go to the first costume, and then I should go to the second costume, right? Okay, now let's see what happens. Nothing is happening, right? Let's try again. Nothing is happening. Why? Okay. The problem is you want to see the bat flapping its wings continuously, right? You don't want it to stop. So to do something continuously, you need to go to control. Under control, you'll see a block which is called forever. Okay, so forever is something that is you are doing continuously. You don't want it to stop. So for that, you need this block. Now see what happens. Still nothing is happening. Why? Okay, the reason is computer calculates things very quickly. See, switch costumes to bad A, switch costume to bad B. So I have two code blocks. One says switch costume to A and another says switch costume to B. Remember, these two pieces of codes are continuously working because these two are under forever block. So forever block is doing these two operations continuously, very quickly. It's doing it so quickly that I cannot see any change. So to see the change, what I need is wait. I need to wait for a certain amount of time to see the changes. So let's put 0.2 seconds. So now what should happen? When I start flag, first thing, the code is forever. Inside the forever, first I have switch costume to bad 2A, and then it's going to wait for 0.2 seconds, and then it's going to switch to bad 2B, and then it goes back to switch costume to bad 2A. Now let's see what happens. Now you see, pretty cool, right? Okay, so repeating it again. So stop means this red button, so I click this, stops. So what happens again? When flag clicked, I'm inside a forever block. Inside the forever block I have what? switch costume to bed 2A, then wait for 0.2 seconds, and then switch costume to bed 2B. Right after switch costume to bed B, it goes back to switch costume to bed 2A. Everything, these three blocks are running continuously. Three lines of code, 3 lines of code, 3 lines of code. So it's keep running, keep running, keep running, keep running. Okay. So that's why we can see the change. I can change the 0.2 to 0.5. Now you see it's slightly slower. Slightly faster, right? Because slower, what I'm saying. So if your time is 0.1 second, it's very fast. If I change it to 0.5, slower. I can change it to 1 second, which will look like very slow. So depending on the operations, you can choose 0.2, 0.3, 0.5, that's up to you. Okay. Alright, so let's delete this part. So there is another way to do that. Forever next costume. So what is next costume? Let's see what happens first. I can see it's switching very fast, so I'm going to use a wait block and change it to 0.2, and we see the same thing. So this piece of code and the last piece of code, they're basically same. This is saying let's turn it off. So what happens is forever block, it says next costume. Remember, by default when you start the game, we start with one costume. That's whatever comes first. Okay, and then it switches to the next costume. And so let me show you the operations. So I go to costume, I start. You can see that it's changing automatically, right? So if I have the next costume, that means it's switching between the first costume and the next costume continuously. So both codes are the same. Okay, so let's start this game here, and I can delete everything. So what we learned from this lecture is that how can we move a sprite to a certain location, how can we glide. There's a glide feature. We know how to start from a position, we know how to change costumes, we know how to use forever block. Next, the next lecture, I'll be showing you how to use the bounce block, and also I'll be showing you how to use variables. Alright, students, so that's it for today, and I'll see you in next class. Bye.